Ready? All right, let's go.
لا إله إلا الله هو الرحمن الرحيم لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. This is the American Muslim Journal, 6th edition, and we're going to briefly demonstrate what is the elements of Tahara, and there are 33 frauds involved with Tahara. And we're going to demonstrate these elements and the importance of the element as it pertains to practicing the 5 principles of Islam, the Kalimat Tawheed, Salat, Zakah, Sawm, fasting, and Hajj. And then we're going to express it in terms of what it means to be Muslim and what it means to be Sunnah, the difference of the two, and how every Muslim may not be Sunnah, but every Sunnah who's a Muslim, every Sunnah is certainly is a Muslim. It's not possible to be Hadith without being Sunnah. It's impossible. Though a brother or sister can be a Muslim. So we're going to go do wudu. And at this time, the prayer that is before us is the prayer Salatul Zuhr, the noon prayer. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم نويت أعوذ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله والرحمن الرحيم وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. الله أكبر الله أكبر أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حيا إلى الصلاة حيا إلى الصلاة حيا إلى الصلاة حيا إلى الصلاة الله أكبر أكبر لا إله إلا الله. والله ولا is a perfect call and spread presently with Muhammad وصل تفضل الله the honor أكرم محمود في العصر الجنة صلى الله عليه وسلم the way approach you in greater eminence and elevating glory and surprising with peace and paradise which you could set permit would be the Sharif but Shafan Tawajju according to the Halafet Nu Marifa in his heart, by way of the Mujdi, Imam Rabi Akmefini, Kudishas Ajamin, that I attain to the Sharia, the foundation of Surah, and acquire Yaqeen Iman, and be among the Hanif, in the Ummah of the Muslims, of the Sayyid, the Prophet Muhammad Mustafa, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the son of Amina Abdullah, Banu Hashim tribe of Quraysh. And make it easy for me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. What we just performed first was called wudu, ablution, and there are frauds in the wudu. There are multiple frauds in the wudu. And these frauds are obligatory. Had I defecated, urinated, I would have to do istinja, which is frauds also, which is with a different cloth, wiping my groin area in the place of urination until it's clean, and then performing the wudu. Had I had sexual intercourse, or I had nocturnal emission, some sort of ejaculation came about, I would do the full bath, the ghusl, G-H-U-S-L. And in the process of doing the ghusl, I would do the wudu at the same time. And of course, the istinja would be done right after I defecated, urinate. And so all those frauds of ghusl, wudu, istinja are complete. And had I not have any water available, I would do tayammum, which is 3. And I could rub my hands on any kind of natural surf, any, well, there might be dust, and declare the tayammum and rub my face one time, right arm and the left arm, and give kalimat tawheed. And that is a fraud, and that's tayammum. Of course, I had water, so I did the wudu. My state was not in junub. I didn't make any kind of nocturnal emission. I didn't have any sexual intercourse. So I had the purpose of doing that. Also, I didn't defecate or urinate. And if I had, I was already clean by way of istinja. So I performed the wudu, and then I called the azan. And the azan is not necessarily required when it's only one person. But when it's 2 more people, one should call the azan as the muezzin, and the same one who called the azan should not be the imam. The one that's the imam should be different from the one that calls the azan. And there should be a time period between the azan and the iqamah. And of course, if that's more than one, the muezzin lines up to the right of the imam, and his foot is halfway between his feet on his right side, and every time he goes through the 5 rooms of Qiyam, Ruku, Sajid, Jalsa, and Qada, he should always touch, and the shoulder and the feet should touch. As you stand up in Qiyam, and when you go down in Sajda, and when you lean back in Qada, the feet should touch. And you should be sitting on your left hind leg when you end the salat, whether it be 2 rakats, or 4 rakats, or 3 rakats. And you do the taslim to the right, assalamu rahmatullah, and to the left, assalamu. And you're greeting only Muslims. The greeting of Islam is only for a Muslim. It is haram to greet a kafir. This greeting is a greeting of a human being that accepts Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all the Anbiya, and accept the Wahi of Allah, and you wish the good for this person as you wish for themselves, because they have Iman and they love and obey Muhammad sallallahu according to his religion, Deen Islam, Islam, al-Islam. So when a kafir give you the greeting that is Muslim, it is a dua that you only should return wa alaikum, and unto you, or wa salam. But you should say something, but definitely not an equal greeting, because you're giving him more than he deserves. It's not warrant that you give him more than he deserves. Allah hasn't opened his heart to his religion, so how are you going to give him more than he deserves? Allah hasn't favored him or her to his religion. So you only greet him wa alaikum in return. Whether it's your mother, your father, wa alaikum, whoever it might be, the president, the pope, the secretary general, anyone, wa alaikum. And so now when you do the greeting, taslim is called to the right and left. When you're in the five rooms, you think in your heart of the Muslim brothers and sisters to the east or the west, whether it be you facing east hemisphere or west hemisphere. Your heart is on the Qibla, and that's the direction of the Kaaba Munawwara and Mecca Mukarrama and Masjid Haram. Direction in which Umrah and Hajj is performed. And the dua that you're performing and the salat that you're performing, your heart goes out to that sacred plot. Not to the stone, not to the building, but that sacred plot, because in that plot is in which the prayer is taken by the Malaika up to the curse of Allah's throne. And the Malaika let Allah know this believer is begging for this. And if he recites Fatiha Surah, this is what the Malaika tells Allah Ta'ala. If you saw the Ikhlas Surah, this is what the Malaika tell Allah. And the best time for this is in the time of Salatul Fajr in the morning, and the Salatul Asr in the evening. And this is from the prophetic Hadith Asharif. So these are the two best times. So now we're going to go back and we're going to use our property. We're going to use a place for the Salat, and we're going to call the Iqamah, and we're going to perform the 4 rakats of Salatul Zuhr in their Salat. نيجي صوت الزور حول محبة هذا من زون دابل الرجل العالمين الله أكبر. So we performed the 4 rakat Zuhr, Salatul Zuhr, which is solid. Of course, the morning Salat of Salatul Fajr is audible, and the next Salat is Salatul Asr, and there's another 4 rakats, it's solid, and the one after that at sunset. At this time in Seattle, Washington, it's about 4:45, dealing with the winter solstice. So the sunset will be at about that time, 4:45 p.m. And this salat is Salatul Maghrib, and you only have, whether you're in the Eastern Hemisphere or Western Hemisphere, approximately less than probably a quarter of an hour to 3/4 of an hour to perform Salatul Maghrib. And that's Eastern and Western Hemisphere, which include everyone in the Ummah of the Muslims. And of course, the last salat that is front is Salatul Isha. And as we know that there are supererogatory salats, we call them nafilah because they facilitate the flavor of the Fard salat. In addition to the Fard, like with the wajib after the Salatul Isha, and like the Sunnah Makada before the morning 2 rakas, that is audible or Salatul Fajr, and like after midnight, the Nafilah Tahajjud, which consists of 12 rakats, 2 at a time. So, and of course, I might add that the Salat all consists of, Salat al-Janazah for burying the dead, also the Tawbah Salat, 2 rakats, then there's the rakats of our sacred holidays, of the 2 Eids, the Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and so we want to practice this in the state of Tahara, and the state of Tahara requires cleanliness, and this cleanliness does not make the water holy. It endeavors that Allah Ta'ala make our niyyah holy and our ikhlas pure, and that it is not possible that the heart can be purified without iman. No heart can be purified without iman. It doesn't matter the political status, the network, ambition, religious academic status, power play rules, whether it's Secretary General, whether it's President of the United States, whether it be a governor, mayor, commissioner, the local police department, whoever it is. If that individual does not have iman, it is not pure. It is not possible that Allah will purify his heart nor enlighten his soul. It is impossible to do so. Matter of fact, Allah has forbidden himself to do that. So there's no guidance that Allah gives a kafir. A kafir only gets misguidance. But the mu'min, who's a Muslim for certain, not only get guidance, but he get the nur marifah from the heart of Muhammad sallallahu by way of awliya, like the Mujdi, Imam Rabani, at least twice a day. And it's called the practice of Ravid al-Sharif, which is the 8th branch of Islamic knowledge called Tasawwuf. And we should do this as a standard practice in the morning and in the evening. And we will explain that in later editions as we go on in the American Muslim Journal. So, where we at? We must reflect upon the 33 frauds, which begin with Iman, which is 6, the 5 practices of Islam, called, as you know, Kalimat Tawheed, which is not Kalimat Shahada. And it might be a misconception about that. Because given Kalimat Shahada, if Allah opens one heart to Deen Islam, once you say completely, Amintu billahi, malaikatihi, rasulihi, wa yamikarihi, sharihi, wa bidu haqtahu, ashhadu Allahu Rahman Rahim, wa la sharika lahu, wa ashhadu Muhammadan Rasuluhu. That is a complete Kalimat Shahada. It entails comprehensively all the obligations of entering Islam. So once Allah Ta'ala opens the heart to his religion, you have to follow the Sunnah of Muhammad to embrace the religion. It's not possible to embrace the religion of Allah just becoming a Gari or commonly called Hafiz of the Quran. It doesn't matter if a Kafir memorized the Quran, even with Taweez and Makhraj, it means nothing. And if you lose your Iman, I-M-A-N, and you are a reciter or Gari, or you are so-called Hafiz of the Quran, and you lose your Iman, it means nothing. So the value is not in memorizing the Quran, is in maintaining Iman. That is the remedy of righteousness. And even with Iman, you have to go through the vicissitudes of time, the difficulty, and the calamities that Allah bring to you individually, or even collectively. If you're among the kuffars or you're among the mu'minun, you have to endure the difficulty. Just like you take the good times, you have to take the bad times. And that's how you bring about righteousness. But there is no righteousness without Iman. And what is Iman? Of course, we explained that in our early videos. And Iman is very complete. It involves many elements of Islamic knowledge. And of course, it's called Tawheed, which is the first element of Iman. It covers Sifat Da'ilahi, which is talking about the divine attributes of Allah, which are 8, and Sifat Da'Tubiyah, which are 6 of Allah Ta'ala, and also Asma Usna, the beautiful names of Allah, which is 99. And these elements of Tawheed must be explained and understood readily, instantly, before we get to the other 5 elements of Iman. So Iman has to be understood first with Tawheed, but to understand Iman, you have to know the details of Iman. And the Iman that we get down from the Sahih Quran and the Tabi'in, the Tabi'in, is an Iman that agrees with the Kalimat Shahada. As I said, Amintu billahi, malaikatihi, rasulihi, amikarihi, sharihi, bidu haqtahu, wa ashhadu Muhammadan Rasuluhu. So the Iman that we're talking about first has to agree in the first step with Tawheed, and all the elements collectively has to agree with the Kalimat Shahada. So this is why we're holding on. This is the rope of Allah. This is what we're trying to hold dear to ourselves. And this is why we benefit from the practice of Ravid al-Sharif. When we beg Allah to permit the Nur Marifah from the heart of Rasulullah to reach us by way of awliya, Imam Rabani. Because this is how we hold on to the knowledge of Iman. Specifically, what benefits is the knowledge of Tawheed. And of course, the second element of Iman is the Malaika. The Malaika numbers multiple. If our numbers was 10, the jinn would be plus 10, and the Malaika would be about 3 plus 10. So the Malaika numbers are much greater than the jinns and the human beings. So, and we talking about, of course, beginning with what's commonly understood, the four archangels like Jibreel, Mikael, Israel. So, uh, so, but we're also talking about the Karimukatibun, the recording angels, and we're also talking about the other angels, that walk with us as we walk to and fro from our home, from the place of Sajud. And so, and there are multiple angels. There are the angels of punishment. And when we find our place in the grave, of Munkar Nakir, and the serpents in the grave. And so, what we want to impress is that without Iman, which is preserved by the fraud Salat, there are 15 calamities that occur when a Muslim neglects Salat. 6 is in his life, 3 at the time of death, 3 in the grave, and 3 in the day the dead is raised for Yom Kippur, the day of judgment. 15. And if we detail it to you, you would know you want to do Salat, the fraud, 5 times a day, or you make qada of it, which means that you pledge to Allah, you make it at another time. And when you make that Salat that is Zuhr, and you make qada of another Salat that is Zuhr, it accumulates and you get the benefit of both. Same as all the other fraud Salat. So, it's very important that you do this because when you go through our life cycle, which is Muharram to Zulhijjah, the 12 months, and especially the 4 sacred months of Muharram, Rajab, Zulqa'dah, and Zulhijjah, Allah Ta'ala is working by way of the attributes, the Asma Usna, upon us, and Iman in our hearts, and our undertaking of the Fard Salah to purify our heart and enlighten our soul. That is not possible if you don't hold on to the Iman. It is not possible if you don't renew your Iman. And if you have nikah, which is something like marriage, you have to renew your Iman every period after Salat al-Jumu'ah. So we have the renewal of Islam. His name is Imam Rabani Ahmed Farkas Hindi, and his shrine is in Ujjain, India, and he's very effective. Why is effective? Because we recognize that the believers, men and women, though they die, they're not dead. And so this life is like a prison. It inhibits us to do what we need to do. But once we pass this life and we transmigrate, we're more help than we are when we're alive. So this is part of Iman. If there's a problem with that, you have to question your Iman. And if you reject that, you can't have Iman. So the life that we're seeking is a life of thawab and ajr. And for the most part, we look for that payday after death. So this is the life eternal. This is the life that's unending. And this is the life in which everything we do in this life should facilitate that eternal life that doesn't come to an end. Because this life comes to an end. Approximately more or less 84 years or 1,000 months, as Surah Al-Qadr says. So, everything that we do must facilitate the protection of Iman and our acquiring this knowledge, Islamic knowledge, and preserving this Iman, and perfecting this Iman, and holding this Iman, and transmigrating from this life to the eternal life. So, this is why we do what we do. This is why we start the IPO. This is why we incorporate. This is why we build the bridges. This is why we feed the poor. This is why we do the Zakat annual. This is why we do Zakat Fitr. This is why we do the Qurban and Hajj. This is why we do Sadaqah throughout the year. Because we are trying to preserve the Iman. We're trying to keep the Iman in the heart. Because it is the Iman in the heart, not the heart that benefits from the oxidation of air by way of the lungs, but the eternal and immaterial heart. So this heart has to be purified and exalted and enlightened. And the only way that is possible is with Iman and the Fard Salat 5 times a day. It's not possible for the heart to be purified and the soul to be enlightened without Iman and without the Fard Salat. And there's no Fard Salat without Quran and the Quran. So
Not having the Quran Kareem, the Wahi of Allah, it's not possible that the heart can be purified nor can the soul be enlightened. And that's the state of kufr, which is the state of a kafir. So this is the displeasure of Allah. And as it pertains to the ulama of Islam, those who have the Muslim position, we must practice amri ma'ruf wa nahy munkar, jihad and work for Allah. Why? Because the newcomer, the students, and those that are common, like ourselves, commonly speaking, don't know how to practice Islam in such a way that it would maintain iman. Because this life demands a lot of our time just to get a paycheck, just to maintain a house, just to maintain child's education, just to maintain our bill, just to maintain tax payment, just to maintain our travel, just to maintain the commodities from east to west, from day into night. So it's incumbent of the ulama of Islam to practice amri ma'ruf wa nahy munkar, jihad but for Allah. And these are fraud. Now, you might take jihad as not being fought, but jihad akbar is certainly fraud. And what is jihad akbar? It's the challenge you give nafs, amara. And the minor jihad, which is a less of a gain, is when you physically protect yourself or protect the life of your guardians and those who you guard with your resources, like your flesh body and armor arsenal of your wealth. So now, and because in the state we are in, we are like in the forelong of Islam in the Western Hemisphere, and we don't have to accumulate the wealth and the knowledge of Islam that they have in the Eastern Hemisphere. We are the forelong of Islam. And as in slave descendant, about the triangle slave trade, Allah has invested the Islamic knowledge with his ulumi aqliya in us. So we have the same knowledge and the same benefits that Sabi Karam has, like Abu Bakr Sadiq, Umar Khattab, Ibn Affan, Ali Abu Talib, Radiallahu Ajmain. The same Islam of the Tabi'in, Imam Abu Hanifa, and the Tabi'in, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Muhammad, Imam Yusuf. We have that same Islamic knowledge today in the Western Hemisphere. In this city, Seattle, Washington, in this state, in this society, 50 states USA, we have that same knowledge available. So Islam demands today, in 2023, and approximately going in 2024, an individual with iman that wants to invest his life, his property, and honor by way of kalima shahada. And once you invest that, you don't take it back, because only a hypocrite takes it back. A munafiq. A munafiqun. So the number one priority outside of innovating, subjugating nafs, which is amara, is to prevent shirk, to undermine shirk, to undermine idolatry, to undermine the covert activity of the kafirun, seeking to undermine iman, seeking to exploit tawheed, seeking to exploit the Malika belief, seeking to exploit the belief in the Quran Majid, seeking to exploit the belief in Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who represent all the Anbiya, seeking to exploit the Qadar and Qadar of Allah, seeking to exploit the idea of the Akirah, making this world the heaven and hell. That's the life of the kafir, of the kufars. So we have to fight this covert activity, whether we have knowledge about it or not. We should follow the Imam, follow the Sheikh, follow the Alim. And we should take it on our trust. As we say, Amen to Bidahi. We have to trust that Allah will lead us right. So just like Allah Ta'ala guides the Imam, Allah is guiding you, because you're reciting the same surah, Fatiha surah, as he recited. You recite the same surah, Ikhlas surah, as he recited. You recite the Quran, the same Quran Majid, the Wahi of Allah, as he recited. So Allah will certainly guide you as he guides the Imam. So, who Allah guides is rightly guided, and none can be led astray. Whom Allah lead astray, none can guide. وَحَلَّ وَقَطَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. Wa alaikum assalam wa alaikum.